For the latest road conditions and fishing information, dial 298-GO-TO. That's 298-4686. Safari West guides viewers to little-known 2- and 4-wheel drive backroad destinations. Preview and plan trips to secluded campsites. Dive into steaming hot springs. Or reel in the big one. Whether you hit the trails once a year or every weekend, Safari West has a variety of destinations and adventures for you.
Volume 1 guides viewers to 23 lakes and other spectacular destinations between Squamish and Whistler, with many challenging 4-wheel drive back roads to enjoy. Volume 2 dives into 5 natural hot springs just hours from Vancouver. These natural wonders make for the ultimate camping experience. Volume 3 explores over 40 great fishing lakes between Princeton and Merritt. Generally easy access makes this area truly a fisherman's paradise. Volume 4 discovers 25 superb fishing lakes off Highway 5A between Merritt and Kamloops. There are great 2- and 4-wheel drive destinations with the world-famous Kamloops trout. Coming soon, the Safari West How-To series. How to fly fish southwestern BC lakes covers everything from tackle to techniques. BC Flies, tying and utilizing some of BC's most popular fly patterns. You'll learn how to identify insects, tie the pattern, and proper presentation. Both are hosted by Kevin Longard of Skagit River Flies. How to 4-wheel drive explains driving techniques used in snow, sand, rocks, mud, and water crossings. It's what every 4-wheeler should know.
Welcome to Safari West Volume 4. In the next 75 minutes, you'll discover 25 lakes off Highway 5A between Merritt and Kamloops. To become more familiar with this area, it's a good idea to follow along using your Safari West map. Well, it's time to begin, so please sit back and enjoy the ride.
The city of Merritt is located 2.5 hours northeast of Vancouver via the Coquihalla Toll Highway. It's home to more than 6,000 people, with prime industries including logging, mining, and tourism. Many grocery stores, gas stations, restaurants, and hotels await the eager fisherman on his or her journey. 100 kilometers to the north on Highway 5A lies the city of Kamloops. Its prime industries are logging, mining, agricultural resources, and tourism. It has all the features of a large city, with many shopping malls, hotels, fast food outlets, and gas stations. When starting your trip from Kamloops, take exit 368 off the Coquihalla and Trans-Canada highways. Zero your odometer at Summit Road on Highway 5A South. When starting from Merritt, take Highway 5A North or use exit 290 off the Coquihalla Highway. Zero your odometer at this intersection of the two roads. From these points, the kilometer readings should correspond to your Safari West map.
Traveling north, the first sign of settlement is one of the valley's oldest. It's the town of Nicola. It challenged Merritt in the late 1800s to become the major town in the valley. Needless to say, Merritt won. One of BC's most photographed structures is Murray Church, built in 1876. Many gravestones of early pioneers surround it. The first destination is Monk Provincial Park. The turnoff lies just before reaching Nicola Lake. This well-marked road is 8.3 kilometers from Merritt or 83.2 kilometers from Kamloops. Remember to zero the odometer when leaving the highway. Following the northwest shores of Nicola, the road snakes through grazing land and passes a few houses and cabins. 10 kilometers along, the road descends into Monk Provincial Park. Keep in mind the park gates are closed from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. every day. 12 kilometers from the highway, a large gravel lot provides plenty of day-use parking.
Spanning a huge 15,358 acres, Nicola Lake is the largest on Volume 4. This sandy beach has the usual $50 fine for the possession of alcoholic beverages, so please leave it in the camper or car. 40 picnic benches separate this large grass area from the beach. There are change rooms, horseshoe pits, and even a playground for the kids. This lake is perfect for all kinds of water sports. Sailing, windsurfing, water skiing, swimming, and of course, fishing. Besides the usual precautions, you should be aware that sudden swells can occur without warning. A good boat launch is provided. Being a provincial park, the maximum stay is 2 weeks and the standard camping fees apply. This would make an ideal family destination. Plenty of free firewood, garbage cans, and of course, pit toilets.
Continuing north on the highway, the next stop is a rest area on Nicola Lake. It's 12.8 kilometers from Merritt or 78.7 kilometers from Kamloops. Supplied are 6 benches, 2 pit toilets, 2 boat launches, and garbage cans. Many small pullouts can be found alongside the highway for the next 20 kilometers. Halfway up Nicola Lake is Quilchena. It offers a 25-site RV park, golf course, hotel, grocery store, Indian trading post, and the only gas station on this highway. At kilometer 25.6 from Merritt, or kilometer 65.9 from Kamloops, is the turnoff for the world-famous Douglas Lake Ranch. The ranch owns many good fishing lakes, but we won't cover them on Volume 4. The north end of Nicola has a few pullouts with picnic benches and boat launches. Four kilometers to the north lies Beaver Ranch Flats, a wildlife conservation project. It was built by Ducks Unlimited and the Gerard Guichon Ranch to provide a home for many types of waterfowl and wildlife. Encouragement for the project came from a number of government agencies, local groups, and clubs from Merritt and Kamloops. There's a parking lot with a full write-up. Next up is Peterhope, Plateau, Glimpse, Blue, and Little Blue Lakes. The turnoff is 42.8 kilometers from Merritt or 48.7 kilometers from Kamloops. This is an active logging road, and there are some precautions to keep in mind.
There are certain safety precautions you should take when traveling any active logging road. Driving with your headlights on greatly increases the ability of other drivers to see you. Since commercial vehicles always have the right of way, drivers should be aware of pullouts and be prepared to use them. Although the best way to avoid a chance encounter is to follow a commercial vehicle. Some logging operations are active 7 days a week.
This is a well-kept gravel road. As the sign indicates, the Peterhope Resort is to the right at kilometer 6.5. The left leads to the other lakes. This part of the road can be a little bumpy, but shouldn't cause any problems for two-wheel drive vehicles. The resort is 7.7 kilometers from the highway.
Peter Hope Resort sits on the northwest end of the lake. Rustic-style cabins of different sizes rim the shoreline. With all the amenities of home except for a TV and telephone, it's easy to see just how relaxing and comfortable these cabins are. They can handle both large and small groups. Campers don't worry. They also have sites with power hookups, flush toilets, and showers. The resort has basic groceries, flies, and the fishing tips are always free. Good rates and friendly people. Give them a call. There's also a good boat launch, dock, and boat rentals. Peter Hope Lake is 287 acres and sits 1,113 meters above sea level. About a dozen privately owned cabins overlook the eastern shoreline. This lake has well-defined shoals, good for finding that perfect fishing spot. The largest fish caught in this lake was a whopping 26 pounds. It was landed in 1929. Rumor has it the fish was hooked in 1928.
Continuing along the main road leads to the Forest Service campsites on Peter Hope Lake. The sites are 7.7 kilometers from the highway and are two-wheel drive accessible.
This large open site has a crude boat launch and small dock. As with all Forest Service campgrounds, there is no charge for camping, and the maximum stay is 2 weeks. They usually supply picnic benches, fire pits, and pit toilets.
A little further down the main road is the turnoff for Plateau Lake. This unmarked road is 8.3 kilometers from the highway. Zero the odometer whenever turning off a main road. Two-wheel drive trucks should be able to reach the lake during dry weather. If it's been raining, we would recommend a four-wheel drive vehicle. .35 kilometers from the turnoff, the road begins to follow the power lines. This steep section at kilometer 3.45 is the biggest obstacle facing two-wheel drive vehicles. A right turn at this intersection at kilometer 5.8 leads off the power lines and back into the trees. Just inside the trees, a few large mud puddles can be found. This particular one has a detour around it. This type of route is typical of many of the roads in this area. The lake is 7.8 kilometers from the turnoff, or 16.1 kilometers from the highway.
Plateau Lake covers 42 acres and sits at an elevation of 1,220 meters. Before making that first cast at a new lake, be sure to check the BC Freshwater Fishing Synopsis for any restrictions. There is a good boat launch here, but pulling a trailer up the road is not recommended. A car topper or belly boat is the best bet. In addition to the 4 proper sites, a small open area beside the lake could be used for extra vehicles or another party.
Back on the main road, the next destination is Glimpse Lake. The maximum speed limit for a logging road is 80 kilometers an hour. We would recommend a much slower speed if traveling an unfamiliar road or if logging traffic is heavy. At kilometer 16.6, a right turn leads to Glimpse. The left is an alternate route to Little Blue. 1.35 kilometers later, stay right again. Left is the way to Blue Lake. After passing a few cabins, a left turn goes to the main Forest Service site on Glimpse. The right leads to some older sites. This campground is 20.65 kilometers from the highway and is two-wheel drive accessible.
A few dozen cabins rim the north shores of this 235-acre lake. Please respect their privacy. Trolling flies is a popular technique used in most of these lakes. It usually pays off well. The best boat launch is located on the northwest end of the lake. Leveling large RVs or campers would be difficult at these campsites. The older sites on the southwest shore are more level, but the access road has a few very tight turns. A dock provides a good platform for spin casting. An alternate route to this area is accessed from the Douglas Lake Ranch turnoff shown earlier.
Coming from Glimpse, go straight through the intersection at kilometer 17.95. The left leads back to the highway. A blue dot with an arrow points the way. At this intersection, 1.9 kilometers later, there's another sign. This route is prone to large mud puddles, therefore a four-wheel drive vehicle is recommended. At kilometer 2.8, the road passes by the western campsites. A right turn at kilometer 3.1 goes to the lake. The other road leads to Little Blue. "100 meters later, this road ends at Blue Lake.
This 30-acre lake is managed as a quality fishery. With weeds covering most of its shoreline, the best way to fish this lake and most of the other lakes in this area is with a small car topper or belly boat. Remember to always carry a valid BC freshwater fishing license. All these lakes are checked regularly. Also, please be sure to release any spawning trout. They can be identified by their dark coloring. The 8 sites are broken into 3 different groups around the lake. The west site is the largest.
Proceed straight through the last intersection at kilometer 3.1. This road also has deep mud puddles, making it 4-wheel drive accessible only. The first and largest wilderness sites are at kilometer 5.2. There's room for about 3 parties. At kilometer 5.35, an alternate route connects to the main logging road. It's shorter, but just as rough. After negotiating a few muddy sections, the road has some pretty good side angles. If you have a camper on the back, you may be better off at the first campsite. The road ends 2.5 kilometers from Blue or 23.65 kilometers from the highway.
Approximately half the size of Blue, Little Blue covers 17 acres. When boating, please be sure to wear a proper size life jacket. Also be sure to clean the bottom of any boat before entering a new lake. The spread of Eurasian milfoil is damaging to lakes. Both campsites have a place to launch a small boat. This site has room for 2 parties. Next up, may help you catch the big one.
Knowing where to fish when you come to an interior lake will greatly increase the amount of fish that you'll catch. You'll notice on a typical interior lake there'll be shoals along the edge that will go out into drop-offs. In low light condition, the fish will come closer and closer and into more shallow water. In higher light conditions, they'll stay much closer to the drop-offs. So in the evenings and early mornings, in the shallows will be a good bet to try. As the sun gets higher in the sky, then you'll want to move more out onto the drop-offs and fish those shelves. And if you concentrate in those areas for your fish, it'll greatly increase how well you do when you visit interior lakes.
Back on the highway, the next stop is Stump Lake. The rest area is located halfway up the west side of the lake. The turnoff is 50.5 kilometers from Merritt or 41 kilometers from Kamloops.
This 1,928-acre lake got its name at the turn of the century when stumps of drowned trees rimmed its shoreline. Gold and silver mining at the southeast end started in the 1880s. The Planet Mine hit its peak in the mid-30s and 30 years later shut its doors for good. A fire destroyed the old buildings in 1975. It was apparently started by an out-of-hand grad party. At the rest area, there is a good boat launch. As with all rest areas, overnight camping is permitted, but long stays are not allowed. A beach near the old mine is now closed. It's still shown on some recreation maps.
The next lake is Dardanelles. The turnoff is at the north end of Stump. It's 56 kilometers from Merritt, or 35.5 kilometers from Kamloops. After passing through the historic Stump Lake Ranch, the road quickly begins to climb above the valley floor. Stay left at this intersection at kilometer 8.8. At kilometer 10.7, the road crosses underneath the power lines. As the road gets closer to the lake, a few large mud sections would cause problems for cars. These rough detour roads are best handled by a truck. The turnoff for the lake is at kilometer 17.1. If in a two-wheel drive vehicle, this would be the best place to park. The road beyond this point is filled with large and often deep mud holes. Just before reaching the lake, there are a few tight turns and some uneven ground. If carrying a camper, be careful not to do any accidental logging. Dardanelles is 18.5 kilometers from the highway and is four-wheel drive accessible only.
This 60-acre lake offers many good places to explore. There are a number of small bays and even an island. Due to the road's poor condition, a car topper, canoe, or belly boat would be the only weapons of choice. There are two separate campsites on the lake. This one is the smallest. At the north end site, a small dock provides the only decent place to fish without a boat. The campsite is quite level, which makes it the best spot for tenting. The road to this site doesn't have as much mud, but does have a few tight turns.
Back on 5A North, the valley begins to change its appearance. The floor drops while the walls close in. This rock face is very unique for the area. It's the only large outcropping visible from the highway. The next stop is Napier Lake. It has two pullouts. The main one is 59.7 kilometers from Merritt, or 31.8 kilometers from Kamloops. It has a point of interest sign that covers some local history.
Napier Lake is not stocked and can usually suffer from winter kill. Fish may be found, but nothing of great size. A small boat could be carried down this steep bank. Next up, may be too hot to handle.
Campfires are something nearly every camper enjoys, and if used responsibly, there's little risk of injury or property damage. Campfires should be kept small and never left unattended unless completely extinguished. They should only be built in fire rings and positioned well away from trees and brush. If there's a fire closure or strong wind, they shouldn't be built unless absolutely necessary. If a forest fire is spotted, call the operator and ask for Zenith 5555.
As the highway snakes up the valley, the next lake is Ritchie. It's completely surrounded by fences, and there is no public access to the lake. It's just as well, it's not stocked and appears to be a winter kill lake. Just up the road is Trap Lake. The biggest pullout is 66.2 kilometers from Merritt, or 25.3 kilometers from Kamloops.
This unstocked 295-acre lake contains small fish due to partial winter kill. The good news is there are a number of places to spin cast from shore, as well as a few spots to launch a small boat. It's not a bad place to spend a day, but the lack of protection from the elements and highway noise combine for poor camping conditions. There are much nicer campsites just a few minutes away.
The next 13 lakes are accessed by a road at the north end of Trap. Signs for the Roche Lake Resort point the way. This turnoff is 69.1 kilometers from Merritt, or 22.4 from Kamloops. As the sign indicates, the resort is 11 kilometers away. This is a well-maintained gravel road, but be cautious of logging trucks. The first kilometer or so is used for cattle grazing, and it's not uncommon to come across a few blocking the road. This seems especially true around blind corners. It must be a conspiracy. The first of many turnoffs is for Friskin and Bullman Lakes. It's 7.3 kilometers from the highway. After traveling almost 1 kilometer, stay left at this intersection. At kilometer 1.55 from the main road, stay left again. There are a number of small roads leading off, but stay on the main one. Underneath the power lines at kilometer 5.1, turn left to follow the clearing. A right turn at kilometer 6.4 leads to the lake. At this point, the road gets better or worse. It depends on what type of vehicle is being used. Some two-wheel drive trucks could make it, but cars are out of the question. Keep in mind that braking power can be significantly reduced when traveling through deep water. At kilometer 6.8, a right turn goes to the lake. Friskin is 14.2 kilometers from the highway.
Friskin Lake covers 72 acres. Its elevation is 1,138 meters. This lake is fairly shallow and fishing from shore may not be very productive. There is a good car top launch at this site. A few more sites are spread along the west side and 3 more on the east side.
The next lake is Bullman. At the north end of Friskin, there's a choice of routes. One through a seemingly bottomless mud hole, or the other over this rather narrow makeshift bridge. Both roads connect just in time for the next set of mud puddles. We recommend four-wheel drive vehicles for this journey. After passing the east side campsites, this cattle gate at kilometer 8.5 brings us to an important tip.
When exploring the vast system of back roads, you may pass through many cattle gates. The rule of thumb is to leave a gate how you found it. They're often kept open to allow cattle to move to new grazing land, and by closing it, you may hamper the efforts of a hard-working rancher. The same is true when gates are found closed. After passing through, please make sure the gate is properly locked behind you.
The road follows a fence for almost 1 kilometer. After a rocky incline, the road levels out at the lake. Bullman is 1.25 kilometers from Friskin, or 16.9 kilometers from the highway.
A slightly smaller lake, Bullman covers 67 acres. Unlike Friskin, Bullman does offer good fishing from shore. Since pulling a trailer to this lake is out of the question, a car topper or belly boat is a must. There are a number of good places to launch a small boat. The 9 sites are made up of these 4 sites on the west side and 5 more on the north.
Back on the main road, the next turnoff accesses Bleecker, Hosley, and Scuto Lakes. It lies 7.7 kilometers from the highway. After traveling almost 1 kilometer, stay right at this intersection. This road can be bumpy, but is normally 2-wheel drive accessible. Halfway up the lake is the only camping area for Bleecker. It's 2.3 kilometers from the main road, or 10 from the highway.
Bleecker covers 65 acres. There are a few good car top launches. Bleecker used to suffer from winter kill. A thick ice covering, along with a lack of flowing water into the lake, causes a depletion of oxygen, therefore killing many fish during winter months. An ambitious project by the Fish and Wildlife Branch of BC Environment, Lands and Parks is underway in many lakes in this area. The project is called Lake Aeration. The idea is to artificially circulate oxygen into these lakes. The air is supplied by either a gas or electric-powered pump, which feeds the air through a diffuser under the surface. Instead of building a shed, the newer sites have the pump underground with only a meter showing. It's an exciting project that has helped so many winter kill lakes become productive. There's an old ranch at the north end of the lake. While exploring, be sure to take only pictures and leave only footprints.
The next lake is Haas Lake. After passing through the Ghost Ranch, turn left at the first intersection, 4.3 kilometers from the main road. The other way also leads to the lake, but this one is usually easier. Both routes are four-wheel drive accessible only. If the prospect of using your four-wheel drive truck in the manner that it was built for scares you in any way, watch the shelves of your local outdoor store for Safari West How to Four-Wheel Drive video. It covers basic techniques on proper four-wheeling through mud, snow, rocks, and water crossings. Great for the beginner and self-claimed experts. The road passes by Gowan and Talmadge Lakes. Both are very small and contain no fish. At kilometer 8.05, the right goes to Haas Lake, while the left goes to Scuto. 300 meters later are the first campsites on the lake. Hawsley is 8.3 kilometers from the main road, or 16 from the highway.
Hawsley, also known as E-Lake, covers 56 acres with an elevation of 1,174 meters. This end of the lake drops off very gradually. This means belly boaters will be doing the back step for some time before reaching an adequate depth to be able to float. Grab the camera, it could be funny. There's lots of places around the lake to launch a small boat. The campsites are spread along the north and east sides. A large and deep mud hole would have to be negotiated before reaching the east sites.
On to Scuto Lake. Proceed through the last intersection at kilometer 8.05. Be prepared for some good mud action. Also be prepared to leave a little paint behind. Many of these larger mud holes have detour routes. The problem is figuring out which one is the detour. Often both are equally bad. As with life, getting into ruts is easy. Getting out is the hard part. That sounds as deep as the last mud hole. At kilometer 10.35, stay left at this intersection. 2.7 kilometers later, the trees open up to reveal another ghost ranch. This brings us to a new Safari West segment.
"9,000 years ago, the interior Salish Indians traveled through this valley. Much later, it's believed that a small tribe of Athabascan Indians were the first permanent residents. The area was soon taken over by the Thompson and Okanagan Salish. In the late 1800s, the first white men began to settle in the valley. They were mostly transient miners that gave up gold panning for the prospect of raising cattle. A number of these early homesteads can be found beside many back roads throughout the valley."
Keep an eye on the weather. Even a brief rainfall can quickly change a back road from two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive. Take a right at kilometer 15.1. The left is a two-wheel drive route that comes down from Kamloops. It's called the Scuto Lake Forest Service Road. The first of two open sites is at kilometer 16. The lake is 23.7 kilometers from the highway.
This 220-acre lake shoreline is thick with deadfall. It's good for fish to hide in, but not so good for boating. Be careful of deadheads even in the middle of the lake. Both sites have good car top launches. The first site has room for about 5 parties, the other for 3. A few old homesteads overlook the lake. The road continues to the privately owned Campbell Lake. It will not be shown.
Back on the Roche Lake Road, the next turnoff is at kilometer 8.1. It's for Horseshoe Lake and a Forest Service campsite on Roche. A right turn goes to Horseshoe. This is a two-wheel drive road that ends at the lake, 900 meters from the main road.
Horseshoe is also the site of an aeration project. A fairly small lake, it covers only 30 acres. There are a number of good places to spin cast from shore, but the only spot to fly fish from shore is the boat launch. As with all Forest Service campsites and wilderness sites, there are no garbage cans. So if you pack it in, you have to pack it out. Oh my.
Continuing straight through the last intersection leads to the West Forest Service sites on Roche Lake. This two-wheel drive road ends 2.5 kilometers from the main road or 10.6 kilometers from the highway.
Roche is an impressive 326-acre lake. It's 3.5 kilometers long. There are lots of bays and islands to explore for that perfect fishing hole. And of course, as with most lakes on Volume 4, there's the world-famous Kamloops trout. Great fighters. The south tip of the lake is restricted to electric motors only. The campsite has a good boat launch. The sites are nicely spaced through the trees. Next up, keep bears from visiting your campsite.
They're wild animals, and they can be dangerous. This is the impression of bears that every careful camper should have. The precautions one can take to avoid problems with bears are simple and straightforward. Avoid storing food in a tent, store it in a car trunk, camper, or hang it from a tree well away from the campsite. Keep your site clean. Place all garbage in bear-proof containers, but never bury the garbage. After cleaning fish, anything left over should either be burnt or thrown in deep rushing water. Be careful when hiking through berry patches or near spawning streams. Avoid hiking alone, and never come between a female bear and her cubs.
After passing the last turnoff, the next lake is Rose. The short access road is 8.4 kilometers from the highway. It's a little rough, but most cars could make it. The road is 100 meters long.
Rose is also an aeration lake. At 12 acres, it's the smallest lake on this tape. The main road runs along the northwest shore. This makes it a popular ice fishing destination. There's a suitable place to launch a small boat. There's not a lot of room at this location.
The next lake is Tulip. The turnoff is at kilometer 9.25. This road is only 300 meters long, but it's often filled with mud puddles. A four-wheel drive vehicle is recommended to get to the campsite.
Another popular ice fishing lake, Tulip covers 19 acres. It's also an aeration lake. There is a good place to launch a small boat. Not a lot of room at this location either.
The next lakes are Black, Bog, and Ernest. The unmarked turnoff lies 10.5 kilometers from the highway. Only 100 meters down, keep right. This road can contain many mud puddles, but a two-wheel drive truck should make it. The access road to the lake is 900 meters from the main road. Black Lake is 11.4 kilometers from the highway.
Black Lake covers 44 acres. A cast of about 100 feet would be needed to successfully fish from shore. We wouldn't recommend pulling a trailer to this lake, but a boat could be launched from one here. Being a Forest Service recreation site, there are no picnic benches. Here's Kevin.
Of all the flies I use in interior lakes, the Dock Spratly has got to be my first choice. It's interesting because the Dock Spratly in different sizes can be used to imitate so many different insects. For example, if I was to make it very large and very bushy, I could use it as a leech imitation. If I was to cut off the top of the wing and just leave a little bit of the wing on, I could use it as a nymph, possibly a dragonfly nymph or a caddis pupa. If I tied it very, very small, I could use it as an emergent chronomid. And it just seems to work as a very, very generic pattern, and yet it's not really an attractor pattern like some people view it as. It's really an imitative pattern of just very many different insects.
The next lake is Bog. After following Black Lake, the road crosses underneath the power lines at kilometer 2.5. From this point, the area between mud puddles gradually shrinks until the road is one long mud bog. Perhaps that's how the lake got its name. The lake's parking is at kilometer 4.1. It's 14.6 kilometers from the highway and is four-wheel drive accessible only.
The only way to fish this 15-acre lake is by boat. A thick lining of bushes makes casting next to impossible. A boat would have to be carried down a steep 100-foot trail to the lake. With this large open camping area and great four-wheeling roads leading off in all directions, this would be an ideal destination for an off-roading club or large group.
Next up is Ernest Lake. As the road slowly gets rougher, one starts to think that the lift kit wasn't a bad investment after all. Plenty of hidden diff killers lurk in the muddy waters, waiting for stock vehicles. Just before reaching what we call the Bates Motel at kilometer 4.8, a right turn leads to the west side of Ernest Lake. It's an extremely rough road and should not be attempted alone. Take the first huge mud hole as a warning. The road worsens and has many tight turns with harsh side angles. Continuing down the easy road, the mud is seemingly endless. At kilometer 5.2, the road curves up and out of the mud to a fairly steep incline. At the top, turn right and follow the road down to the lake. Ernest is 5.5 kilometers from the main road, or 16 kilometers from the highway.
Ernest Lake is 62 acres with an elevation of 1,190 meters. Not very good fishing from shore, so bring a small boat, or better yet, a belly boat. The campsite has 2 good car-top launch areas. Not a good location for the argument on who forgot to pack the bug spray. At most of these lakes, the mosquitoes don't take prisoners.
Just up the main road from the last turnoff is the North Forest Service Site on Roche Lake. There are numerous open sites along the roadside. Many don't have benches. There's also a good boat launch here. The final turnoff is at kilometer 11.1. It accesses John Frank Lake. The road can be a little rough, but two-wheel drive trucks shouldn't have any problems. At kilometer 1.2, turn right and follow the power lines. Not exactly the safest place to be during a lightning storm. The road leaves the power lines and heads down to the lake at kilometer 2.1. John Frank is 2.5 kilometers from the main road, or 13.6 kilometers from the highway.
A bit deceiving from this point, John Frank actually covers 49 acres. Many lily pads cover this end of the lake. They make the perfect hiding spots for trout. A boat could be launched from this overgrown dock. This is one of the few campsites that offers a grassy place to pitch a tent. Next up, a tip that may save your life.
Problem bears can usually be scared off with a loud noise. A gunshot in the air, bear bombs, or an air horn can do the trick. If a bear charges, drop to the ground, put your hands behind your neck with your knees against your chest, and play dead no matter what happens. Never imitate a bear, run, or climb a tree. Bears have poor eyesight, but can run extremely fast and climb trees very easily.
The last, but definitely not the least of the destinations found along this road is the Roche Lake Resort. Reaching the resort's parking lot at kilometer 11.8 reminds one of a TV commercial. Can we afford not to?
These modern chalets set on the hillside have all the conveniences of home. Each ready to handle that perfect guys' weekend, family retreat, or a romantic getaway. Sure, go with that special someone. You don't have to go fishing. If you don't feel like cooking, take your catch to the dining room where they'll prepare it for you, or select a meal from their full menu. The resort also offers boat rentals, basic groceries, fishing licenses, and flies. After a stressful day of fishing, unwind in the lounge or take a jacuzzi or plunge into the heated pool. Oh, and they also have campsites with access to flush toilets and showers. It's a super destination with good rates and great people. Make your reservations today. Beside the resort, an artificial spawning channel provides a much-needed place for mature rainbow trout to spawn. Without a reliable creek flowing into the lake, the fish would become egg or spawn-bound. The channel allows the trout to successfully spawn and return to the lake. Roche Lake Resort, along with government agencies, local businesses, clubs, and individuals, took part in the construction of this worthwhile program. With a healthy population of mature rainbow trout, it's no wonder Roche was one of the hosts for the 1993 World Championship Fly Fishing Competition.
Back on the highway, the next destination is Shumway Lake. The turnoff is 73.2 kilometers from Merritt, or 18.3 from Kamloops.
The rowing and water skiing competitions for the 1993 Canada Summer Games were held on this 160-acre lake. Spin casting from shore is possible along most of the west side. A few pullouts provide parking. An excellent boat launch lies at the main parking area. Shumway isn't stocked, but the kids could have fun reeling in many relatively small fish.
Next up is Edith Lake. It's the final destination on Volume 4. From Shumway, the highway climbs up a narrow valley, then levels out to reveal an open plateau. Upon reaching the community of Knutsford, a left turn leads to the lake. The turnoff is 88.4 kilometers from Merritt, or 3.1 kilometers from Kamloops. Proceed straight through the first intersection at kilometer 1.6. At the next intersection at kilometer 3.7, turn right. This is a well-kept gravel road. Cars should have no problems with this one. The lake is 8.2 kilometers from the highway.
Edith Lake covers 66 acres and is 1,020 meters above sea level. It's another aeration lake. Fishing from shore is possible from a few locations along the west side. A good boat launch is provided. This field provides plenty of room for large groups. This concludes Safari West Volume 4. We hope you've enjoyed the ride.
Your comments on this and other videos in this series are important to us. We also welcome suggestions for future volumes. Please write to Nuke Productions. The address is on the back of your video cover. Your input counts. Thank you for being part of the Safari West video series.
Get that mosquito!
That thing's been bugging me the whole video.
Here he comes. Get him.
Got him. Nope, missed.
Oh, get him. Oh, man. Ew.
You've been terminated.
He won't be around for Volume 5.